Yep. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for doing the Monday morning 9 a.m. class with me. And I think we're gonna keep it pretty chill today. So we'll start seated and you can stay crisscross applesauce. Put something up under your hips if that feels better. Yeah. Yep. And we'll start with a few shoulder rolls. Just bringing the shoulders up towards the ears and then letting them glide back, down. And you can roll them forwards if you want, or one at a time. And then shrug your shoulders up to your ears really tight. And then release. Let the blood flow into those tight areas. And you can do it again if you want. Really big shrug. And let it go. And we'll take a little neck stretch. So we'll reach our fingertips out to the sides of the mat, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears, and then drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Sorry, I tried to mirror you.
No, I'm sorry.
It's like half the time I'm doing my right, and then I'm like, if people are watching me, I try to be like, oh, let me go.
Thank you.
I try.
I'll just close my eyes and listen.
That works. And as you drop your ear to your shoulder, continue drawing the shoulder down, creating space in the opposite shoulder and neck. And then let your head float back up to center and drop your other ear to your other shoulder. And come back to center. Loosen up the shoulders if they got a little tight. And then we'll take a little side stretch while we're here. So reach your arms up overhead.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, you're good. Yeah, you don't have to be crunched all up against the wall. You got the whole room. Yeah, there you go. And then come over to the right side. And extend through both side bodies. And open the chest. Doesn't have to be a big stretch yet. Just kind of reminding the spine of all the different directions it can move. And come back up to center, over to the other side. Back up to the middle again. And then release the arms down. Now we'll take a little baby twist. So you can place your right hand behind you. And yeah, I'll switch it. And then your left hand comes to your right knee. Sit up nice and tall. And let your breath guide the twist. So instead of pulling your spine into it, inhale to lengthen your spine. As you exhale, maybe you relax into it. Take one more breath here, inhaling to lengthen your spine, create space. Exhale. And then unwind, coming back to the middle and to the other side. And come back to the middle again. And we'll work our way into child's pose, however you want to get there. You can do the side hip thing. Bring your knees wide to the edges of your mat, big toes to touch. Send your hips back to your heels. Let your hands slide forward or they can stay under with your shoulders stacked over your elbows. While you're in child's pose, check in with your breath. You don't need to change anything about your breath, but notice how it feels. If your breath is flowing easily, if it seems to be getting caught on areas of tension or pain in your body. Notice if it's fast or if it's slow. If you're breathing into your belly or into your chest. And you don't have to change your breath, but as you become more aware of it, you might find it naturally slowing down, naturally deepening, becoming more fluid. And from your child's pose, we're going to stay low and gently walk our fingertips over to the right side, just a little bit. Just finding a different version of a side stretch. And then walk your hands back through center and over to the left side. When you feel even, you can come back to center. And then rise up from your child's pose. We'll come onto our hands and knees for tabletop with your shoulders stacked over your wrists and your hips over your knees. And you can start to take some gentle movement back and forth, kind of hinging, or you can snake side to side, warming up the hips and the shoulders. And as you hinge back and forth, check in with your wrists. So I think our hands get neglected a lot in yoga. We're doing all the standing poses and balance stuff, but we put a lot of weight into our hands. So see if your wrists are feeling stiff or if your knuckles are popping up. And take a minute to press each finger into the mat. And as you hinge forward, if this feels good, you can keep doing this. You can even turn your fingertips out and hinge side to side. This is sometimes a little rough on me because I wait too long to do it. And I'm like, oh, we've been on the computer a lot and we've not paid attention to our hands. Yeah, right? Exactly. And then when you're ready to take the counter pose for this, you just want to flip your hands so that you have the backs of your hands on the ground and your fingertips towards yourself. And go very gently. Our wrists don't like to be abused, but they do like to be paid attention to. And then I can shake them out a little, get that blood flow back in. And then we'll move through a few cat-cows while we're in tabletop here. So now that your hands are nice and grounded and you can press weight into them, as you inhale, drop your belly, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze a little bit, and squeeze the shoulder blades back and together. As you exhale, round your spine, pressing your heart up through your back towards the ceiling. And then start to move through with your breath, inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale, cat. Move through one more at your own pace. And come back to a neutral tabletop. We'll do one down dog, just so we can say we did one. So we'll move into a down dog, and I usually end up moving my hands forward on the mat a bit. And when you're ready, tuck your toes, lift your knees, lift your hips, and pedal out your down dog. Straightening one leg and the other. Warming up your ankles, warming up your hamstrings. And once you've loosened up the legs a little bit, really lift the hips again, lift them high, melt your heart towards your thighs. Take a nice big inhale, exhale. And then look forward to that spot between your hands and tiptoe your feet forward between your hands. We're coming into a forward fold. You can have your feet hip width apart, or sometimes I like my toes touching, so whatever floats your boat. And let your arms hang loose, your head and neck release. You can rest your pinkies and your elbows if you want to, or you can sway your arms side to side. You can also shake your head, yes, and shake your head now to make sure you're not holding tension in your neck, and shake your head, yes, again. Then roll up. We're gonna roll up to standing very slowly. Taking our time, keeping the arms and the head and neck relaxed until they're the very last thing to come up. And shine your palms forward so that your shoulders slide down your back, away from your ears. Root down through your feet. Maybe keep a little micro bend in your knees. And feel rooted. Inhale your arms up overhead for extended mountain. And exhale, big move. We're gonna swan dive all the way down to a forward fold. And hang out here for a minute. Enjoy that feeling of, having your knees are a little bit bent or maybe a lot bent, as much as you need to, so that your hips can tilt and the top half of your body can just drape over it. So enjoy that feeling of looseness in the top half of your body and see if you can get some elongation of the spine and some decompression from it. And come up to a halfway lift, bringing your hands to your shins or your thighs. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Inhale, exhale, release back to a forward fold. And inhale all the way up to standing this time. Extended mountain. And exhale, hands to heart center. Take a breath or two here. And inhale your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands down to the mat. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And we're gonna step back. And you can step to a high plank, one foot back and then the other, or you can step back to a kneeling plank. Either way, you're still engaging your core. And we're gonna come all the way down to our bellies. Squeeze your elbows into your rib cage as you lower down, belly to the mat, and then release the weight out of your hands. We're gonna take a baby cobra. So without putting a lot of weight in your hands, inhale, peel your chest. Now come up to baby cobra. Exhale, come down again. And inhale again. This time we're coming into Sphinx pose. You'll bring your elbows out in front of you, and your elbows can be right under your shoulders or they can be farther away from your body. And if this doesn't feel good on your low back, definitely move your elbows farther away from you, because what you don't want is that crunch right there. You want to release that tension, but open the chest and think of pulling your heart forward through your elbows. So you're getting some back bend, you're getting some front side opening. And you can leave your feet the way they are with the tops of the feet on the mat, or you can Let your toes rotate in towards each other so that your thighs rotate. For some people, that feels really good. So it's a choice. Take one more breath here. Opening your chest. Exhale. Lower all the way down to the mat. And then let this be your counter pose to that back bend and that front side opening. Finding a neutral spine again. And then when you're ready and you feel evened out, you can bring your hands back under your shoulders. Start to press some weight into them as you push yourself back onto your knees as we come into tabletop again. And from tabletop, we're going to move into a kneeling crescent. So you can draw your right foot up between your hands. If it doesn't reach, you can pick it up, scoot it forward so that your knee is over your ankles. I usually end up keeping my back toe tucked for stability, but you can release the top to the mat if you want. And we're going to rise up to a kneeling crescent with the arms overhead. And focus on your hips and see if you can get your hips squared to the front of the mat. I don't know about you, but sometimes this left one likes to pull back. It's like hip opening. Nope, not yet. And then we're going to take a twist towards the right, so towards our front leg. As you open up the arms, bring your right arm back, your left arm forward. And let your breath guide the twist, just like we did at the beginning. Inhale to lengthen your spine, almost like there's an invisible thread connected to the crown of your head and it's drawing you upwards. And then exhale, sink into the twist a little. There might not be a noticeable, visible change, but you might feel it change subtly in your body. And then bring your hands back up overhead. And we're going to twist the other way. So we're just going to open up to the left side. And it's okay now if your left hip pulls back and pulls open. And from here, we're going to take a little reverse warrior arms. So your left arm comes down. You can slide down your left leg. Right arm comes up overhead. Take one more big inhale and exhale. Bring your hands down to the inside of your front foot. And we're going to move into a little runner's lunge. Toe heel your right foot up. Adjust your back knee. And if you need to pad up your back knee or the blanket or something under there, you can. Find your comfy spot. And you can stay right here. If this is a good runner's lunge for you, you can come down onto your forearms. You can use a block. take 3 more breaths here. And start to move out of the pose. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Press weight back into them, scooching that front foot back to center. And if you like to, you can actually straighten the front leg. You take a little half saddle here if that feels good on your hamstrings and the back of your leg. And I personally like to stay a little lifted. It's more balanced, which is why I have the blocks, but I get more into the back leg here. And honest to goodness, half saddle would be sitting all the way back on the back leg. And that, like you just heard my knee crack. That's usually not, not a good one for me. So this I like to just kind of, after that extreme hip opener, just get into the back of the leg a little bit more. And some people like to hinge back and forth between the two, but usually once I get that straightening, I'm feeling pretty good. And you can bend the knee again, come back to your kneeling, and we're gonna switch sides. So bring the front foot back, and if you want to, you can stretch it out, shake it out, do some hip circles if you really, really want. And then once you're back in your tabletop, we'll move into the other side. So left foot comes forward between the hands. Find your stance and then come up to kneeling crescent. Square up your hips, reach your arms overhead. Take a minute to make sure you feel stable. And then we'll take the twist towards the left side first this time. So towards your front leg. Your left arm comes back, right arm comes forward. And I should say that's where they're coming towards, because I don't know anybody that's got their arms completely parallel. Mine's more like a ballet third position arms here, but energetically, that's where you're bringing your arms towards. And come back to center, arms overhead. Open up to the right side, letting that hip open up too. And then reverse your arms, bringing your right arm down, left arm up overhead. And then bring your arms down to the inside of your front foot. Set yourself up for runner's lunge on this side. And it's okay if it's different on this side. You don't have to do the exact same thing. You can, but our two sides are sometimes different. So decide if you want to stay up here, if you want hands on a block or forearms on a block or coming all the way down to the mat. Whatever your left side says to you today that feels good and feels right. You might need a little bit more time on this side to feel balanced, or you might need less time. So listen to your body when it says, hey, that's just about good enough. Or, oh, that is really juicy. I'm going to stay here for a while. But when it tells you that that's pretty good and you feel even, you can start to shift out of it. Bring the weight into your hands under your shoulders. Toe heel that front foot back to the center. And if you want to take that little hamstring stretch, you can. I don't know why, but hamstrings have always been like my biggest struggle. I don't know why. Like even when I was a kid. And when you're done with that, come back to your crescent lunge. Bring your hands down, send your front foot back. Shake it out, stretch it out on this side. I kind of wanted to do bow pose and get the quads and the shoulders a little bit. Does that sound like it'd be okay?
Sure.
All right, let's go for it. So we're gonna work our way back onto our bellies again. Last time, I promise. And then for bow pose, you can kind of relax your arms down by your sides and do whatever feels comfortable on your head and your neck. Let's start slow just by bending one knee, kind of drawing the heel in towards your butt. And then you can relax that one, bend the other knee. And release it. And then bend your first leg again and start to reach your fingertips back towards your heel. And if you've got a hold of your heel, that's awesome. If you're reaching towards it, that's awesome too. If you do have a hold of that foot, you can start to draw the foot in towards your backside, keeping the front of your thigh on the mat. Just saying hello to the quads. And then let go of that foot. And draw the left heel in, reach your left fingertips towards it. And depending on your body, this might be more or less active in your shoulders as well. And release that foot. And if you want to go for the full bow, I'll actually show you first. Full bow would be taking a hold of one foot, then the other, and then you kick your feet into your hands, pressing your hips into the mat, and then you lift your chest. So full bow pose would actually be looking like this. So we can give it a try if you want, or you can do one-legged bow pose. You can do half at a time. That's totally an option. It's challenging. It's really, really challenging. Because it's a lot of shoulder opening. Yeah, yeah. Hey, that's a good place to be. That is a perfectly good place to be. Because let me tell you, when I started doing yoga, I was 19 years old. I was a theater student in college, and my stage movement teacher had gotten her yoga certification, and she decided the entire semester was going to be yoga. And I had never, ever really done it. And I was tight. I was tense as all get out. And I was that person going, but there's a reason they call it a yoga practice and not a yoga performance, because we're always practicing. Oh. Boat on the belly. This is different. This is like a capsized boat. I love it. Oh, and we can work our way back up to sitting now. So however that works for you, pressing yourself up. And I think we need one more twist. So I think we need a pretzel. And I'm gonna start with left leg out, right leg crossed. Oh, we can do that. I'm all about, oh, we can do this. No, I mean, I was like, we can do that too. I'm down for that. And that's usually what I do. I think I usually do like a one-legged forward fold, and then I switch the feet into a pretzel. So yeah, like break myself out of some of my habits too, shake things up. And you can stay here with this leg extended. You can tuck it in if that feels better for you. So you got some options here. If you're really gung-ho for a twist, you can start to look over your right shoulder as you hug that right knee in. Kind of up to you. I think some days I'll go for the twist. Some days I'll stay in really tight because I feel it in the outside of my hip and in the back. When you've had enough of the twist, you can come back to center. You can release that leg out in front of you, shake him out. Windshield wiper maybe, if that feels good. Oh yeah, I like kind of rolling on one hip and then the other. It's like a little butt massage. Hey, like, I don't know why people don't talk about it more, but I hold so much tension in my butt. Just like Oh, yeah, like that sacrum area. Yeah.
That's worse.
And that's like your foundation. That's like what holds up your posture and what, like when your hips are off, your posture's off and everything's off. Yep. All right, ready for the other leg? Pulling it in. Hmm. Whenever you're starting to feel pretty even, like you got enough time on both sides, you can release that leg. And then our last pose before we move on to our backs is gonna be cobbler's pose with the soles of the feet together. And you can decide how close to your body you want your heels. I don't think it makes it easier or harder either way. I think you just might feel it in different places. So pick how far away you want your heels, and you can let gravity draw your knees down to the ground, or you can prop them up. This is like one of my favorite things ever because it can make it a really restorative pose. And you can stay right here, or if you'd like to fold forward, you can lead with your heart, hinge from your hips and start to fold forward. And then if it feels okay on your back, you can release your head and neck and start to round your back. The other thing I like to do in forward folds like this is sometimes I'll put a block to support my forehead. That way I don't have a lot of tension in my neck. I have built myself a block tower. I've used like 3 blocks before and I'm like balancing, but then I'm like, my head can rest. I think it's because I did a lot of like yin and restorative classes and they're all about the props. Take one more breath here in your cobbler's pose, and then start to walk your fingertips back towards your torso to come back up. And since it took us a long time to get into the pose, we're going to take a long time coming out, bringing the knees together, and then extend the legs, get some movement back in them. Work our way onto our backs. And if you've got a tried and true way to do that, you can go for it. You can roll over onto your hip and swing your legs over. You can do the good old thigh grab and roll down. And then take whatever last minute movements you want before Shavasana. And that might be hugging your knees into your chest or rocking back and forth or in circles. And once you've gotten those last minute movements out, set yourself up for Shavasana. You can take a traditional corpse pose with your legs extended on the mat and your feet fallen open, hands relaxed down by your sides. You can take Shavasana in constructive rest pose with your feet on the mat, knees bent and knocked together. And once you find that resting pose for yourself, let your limbs start to feel heavy. They're heavy, but at the same time, you know that you can fully relax them because you feel the earth supporting you underneath. And this is your time to let your yoga practice sink in and set in. It's also a time to thank your body for the hard work that it does for you. Start to deepen your breathing. Feel your belly rise and fall with each breath. And start to bring some awareness back into your body. And take some small movements in your fingers and your toes, and your ankles and your wrists. And when you're ready, you can roll over onto your favorite side, drawing your knees towards your chest a little bit, and you could use your arm as a pillow if you like. You might choose to leave your eyes closed here, or you can choose to flutter them open and let some daylight in. And when you're ready, you can press weight into your hands to push yourself gently up to seated. Take one last breath, big breath in, and let it out through your mouth like a big sigh. And I hope you feel ready for your Monday. Thank you. Thanks for doing yoga with me today. Awesome. Good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is exactly who you are. What I need.
Yay. I love it when that happens. Always a joy to have someone in here doing it with me.